us and the Acharyas, and with the benevolence of the Acharyas of Sri Ahobila Matham, I am extremely honored to be speaking for a series of 5 days on the greatness of Sri Vishnu Sahasranamam, Sri Vishnu Sahasranamam Mahatmiyam, the way we see it. Day 1 is over. Today is day 2. In Purva Charitram, we got to understand the circumstances that led to the birth of Sri Vishnu Sahasranamam. We saw one integral character, Patram, to Sri Mahabharatam and Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Krishna, that is Draupadi. Draupadi's nature as portrayed in Sri Mahabharatam, as seen in Srimad Bhagavatam. After that, we understood the greatness of Bhishmacharya. Post that, we also understood that amongst the various commentaries that are celebrated, regarded, and followed till date, one of the celebrated commentaries is Bhagavad Guna Darpanam. Darpanam is mirror. Gunam is quality. Bhagavad, the qualities, the gunas of Bhagavan. So the qualities of Bhagavan will be seen in the mirror if we read the names of the Lord. So 1,000 namas of the Lord is akin to understanding the 1,000 qualities of Him. Bhagavad Guna Darpanam. So from this commentary, we were to experience the essence of a few namas. At the commencement yesterday, I also gave 6 attributes as pointed by Parashara Bhatta to Sri Vishnu Sahasranamam. He states, Mahabharata Saratva, the essence of Mahabharata is in Sri Vishnu Sahasranamam. So 1,25,000 verses, which includes the 18 Parvas and Harivamsham, is seen in Sri Vishnu Sahasranamam. First quality, Mahabharata Saratva. Second, Rishibhiv Pariganataha. These names do not say that these are the only names that are to be revered. These are the only names which are priceless. Yes, they are priceless because the Rishis have chosen them. Doesn't mean those names which do not occur in this compendium of 1,000 names are less holy, or are to be discarded, or are to be looked down upon. Nothing of it has been mentioned here. So, Rishibhiv Pariganataha, this is the second greatness of Sri Vishnu Sahasranamam, the names as compiled and told by Yudhishthira to Bhishmacharya are those names which have been venerated by the Rishis at different points in time. Rishibhiv Pariganataha. Third, Vedacharya Samahara. This third quality, I said I will speak about it today. I skipped to the fourth, which is Bhishmo Krishna Matatvataha. It has been delivered by Bhishmacharya. So who speaks? The Bhakta is very important. So in our Puranas, we deal with a concept called Vailakshanyam. What makes it so special? Vilakshanam. What is so special about this? So the quality is called Vailakshanyam. So we have generally a few Vailakshanyams as stated by our Purvacharyas. One is Vaktr Vailakshanyam. Who has spoken about that Prabandham, or who has compiled or composed that Prabandham? If it is Srimad Ramayana, Valmiki is a Vakta. Mahabharatam, Vyasacharya is a Vakta. Srimad Bhagavatam, Shuka Brahmam is a Vakta. Sri Vishnu Puranam, very good. Parashara is the Vakta. This was out of syllabus, but still they all answered. Very good. So Parashara was the Vakta. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is the Vakta. So see, when you look at Vyasa, Valmiki, Vasishtha, Krishna, Parashara, they were all people of immense splendor, valor, prowess, and intellect. So who speaks is important. Vaktru Vailakshanya. Just like this in this series, there is no Vaktru Vailakshanya. Speaker is okay. Vaktru Vailakshanya. Next is Shrotru Vailakshanya. Who listens to it? See, we all love to speak. Somebody should listen. Right? Who is the listener? Shrotra. Who's a Shrota? So if you look at Srimad Ramayana, Rama himself was a Shrota. When Sita single-handedly raised her two children, Lava and Kusha. And those two children were trained in Srimad Ramayana by their guardian, who is Valmiki Maharishi. These two children were not cognizant of the fact that Rama, who rules Ayodhya, is their father. Nor did Rama know that these two sons are his. They go village after village. The brothers to Rama spot the greatness of these two children. Take them to the court of Rama and say, now you sing here. Rama was seated on the Simhasanam, one of the greatest composers in the classical Shastriya Parampara called Venkata Iyer, who belonged to a small village called Uttakadu, states, Mallikadi Sugandhamaya Navamalikadi Shobhita Gadena Ullasa Parishidana Chamara Ubhaya Pashvena Kundala Gelana Rama Raghurama Rama Kanakamakuta Maragata Manilola Harada Sharatha Pala Sita. Beautiful was the Simhasanam, Rama was seated, but he thought, if at all there has to be acceptance to this Grantham, if at all I have to enjoy the greatness in the poem that these boys are singing, I should not be seated aloof atop the stairs on a gem-studded throne. I should quietly embroider myself amidst the audience. He comes and sits amongst the audience and listens. So Rama is the Shrota to Ramayana. So the work is a biography on him, and he accepts it. Had he said that these portions are to be chopped off, cut, edited, I don't like it, Valmiki, later all these journalists will ask, Agni Pariksha portion, sirf usko cut kar do. All this he could have said, right? See, if it's his biography, he has the right to do it, but he didn't do. He said, let people question, let the truth come out. So if that was the greatness of Srimad Ramayanam, we need to go to Vishnu Sahasranamam. Of course, when a set of 6 questions were asked, Kimekam Daivatam Loke, Kimbapyekam Parayanam Stuvantakam Kamarchantaha. All these questions we will be dealing with, because these set of 6 questions called as a Shat Prashni deserves our attention. The commentators have taken the Herculean task of commenting upon these portions in detail. This will come towards the end. So, after these questions were asked, Bhishmacharya answers. So, we get those answers also in the Purvangam of Sri Vishnu Sahasranamam. Vishnu Sahasranamam can be divided into 3 parts: the Purvangam, Uttarangam, and Madhyama Bhagam. The central portion is a set of 1000 names. Vishwam Vishnu Vashatkaraha till Sarva Praharana Yudaha. If you've been wondering what name to give to your grandson, use this Sarva Praharana Yudaha. Let's see how the others pronounce this. Give them a task. Sarva Praharana Yudaha. Now, this is the 1000 names that Bhishmacharya recited. What we see as Shantakaram, Bhujagashayanam, all that is not there. In Sri Mahabharatam, all this is not there. The Uttarangam is also not there. dharmarthi prapnuyat dharmam artharthi cha arthamapnuyat kamana vapnuyat kami prajarthi chapnuyat prajam. If you want to understand the nuances of dharma, if you're a seeker of dharma, you shall receive dharma, dharmic knowledge when you recite Vishnu Sahasranamam. Dharmarthi prapnuyat dharmam. Artharthi, if you desire good prosperity. I'm sure none of you might have invested in that Silicon Bank or something. If you want that lost wealth, you can recite Sahasranamam. Artharthi cha apnuyat artham. Prajarthi cha apnuyat prajam. If you want children, you desire children in your family, you can recite. Put that prefix to it, good children. Supraja, that is why when Vishwamitra wakes up Rama, he says, Kausalya Supraja, you are the good son. The commentator asks, how does he know that Rama is a good son? Right? How does he know? He says, even while at sleep, Rishis can understand how this boy will be after waking up. So they said, Kausalya Supraja Rama. Now, similarly, Krishna was standing next to Yudhishthira when Yudhishthira posed these set of 6 questions. And Bhishma Acharya painstakingly on the bed of arrows was answering all these questions. As he was nearing the end, that is when Yudhishthira asked again, see, you're talking about some person who has got Chaturvyuha, Chaturgatihi, Chaturatma, Chaturbahu. And you're telling it to me somewhere there, Ambasya Bhapare, Bhuvanasya Madhye, Nakasya Prishte, Bhato Mahiyan, somewhere else. Tell me the person whom you're indicating through Vishnu Sahasranamam, who is in the vicinity. He should be very accessible. Devaki, Nandana Srashta, Kshitishah, Papanashana, Shankhabrin, Nandaki, Chakri, Sharanga, Dhanva, Gadadhara. The one whom I've been venerating through all these names, Yudhishthira, is the one standing next to you. He is the son of Devaki. Devaki Nandanaha, Srashta, Kshitishaha, Papanashanaha, Shankhabrin, Nandaki, Chakri, Sharngadanva, Gadadharaha, Rathangapanihi, Akshobhyaha, Sarva Praharana Yudaha. Kichu? This boy? Yes, this is the one whom I have indicated. So, who was the Shrota to Vishnu Sahasranamam? Krishna himself. So, this Vishnu Sahasranamam has the greatness of being venerated by Krishna himself. He was the Bhakta to it. Now, coming to Thiruvaimudi, I'm sure some of you may not be. How many of you don't speak Tamil? Don't speak Tamil. It's okay. No problem. So I may be quoting a few verses from the Tamil literature. I'll be quoting verses from the other languages as well. So when we look at Tamil Prabandham, one of the saints who has been venerated in the Tamil tradition is Nam Alvar. If you don't speak the Tamil, it is slightly tough to get the pronunciation of the letter La. Even if you speak Tamil, then you don't understand. But so, Thiruvaimuri is one of the works which is revered as Dravida Vedam. Namamyaham Dravida Veda Sagaram. The beauty is this work was given as the essence of Samavedam. Rishim Jushamahe Krishna Trishna Tattvam Ivothitam Sahasra Shakham Yodrakshi Dravidi Brahma Samhitam. This was told by Nammalvar, who's called Shatakopa, to his student, one of the sweetest poets called Madhura Kavi. Madhura Kavi Hridaye Mamavirastu Veronnum Nanariye Vedam Tamil Sheida Maran. So the listener matters a lot. Shrotra Vailakshanyam. Speaker matters, listener matters. Yeah, you are all great. Shrotra Vailakshmi. Next is Vishaya Vailakshmi. Speaker is good, listener is good. Topic idli. What benefit? Any of you from Madurai here? There is one great drink. What is it? You don't have Jigar Danda, less chances to get moksha. So, topic is Jigar Danda. How to make it? How many of you will come? I don't know. Only Madurai people will come. So, the topic has to be good. Vishaya Vailakshmi. So, all this has to fit into the Prabandham. Here, the speaker is Bhishma, listener is Krishna, the topic is the 1,000 names. So, all of them fit the bill here. In that list, Mahabharata Saratva, Rishibhif Pariganataha, Vedacharya Samahara. We have to now see the third greatness of Sahasranamam. I will read out the Vyakhyana, the Sanskritam commentary. Krishna Dvaipayanaha, Parama Aptatamaha, Bhagavan Narayana Stotratvena Niratishaya Jnana Ishwaryadi Kalyana Gunakataya Nirasta Samasta Vipralabdha Doshadi Bhavan Akila Bandhana Manushyanugrahaya Vyasta Devatvad Vedarthayostatvanushthanayo Jnana Asamshaya Viparyaya Parijhishaya Pranita Panchama Vedatvad Swavachanena Kshatriyam Vishwamitram Brahmani Krutavato Bhagavato Vasishthasya Naptrutvad Vasishtha Pulasya Varapradana Labdha Veda Paradevata Paramarthya Jnana Purana Samhita Kartritvadi Vishaya Varadishayatwadi Laidadvi Puraneshu Prasiddha Bhagavataha Parasharasya Chapayitvad Ananya Sadharanatamaha Samadhi Visheshana Paramarishi Paripurna Tattva Vachaha Evam Vidhena Anena Vishibihi Parigita Bhavena Bhagavataha Mantrayi Stotra Rupena Samahritattvachai Upadeshai Atamaha is the commentary. What he says is Krishna Dvaipayanaha Parama Apta Tamaha. Tamaha in Sanskritam means superlative. See, we generally say best, right? Most. If the adjective has more than 2 syllables, we use most and more and most. Beautiful, we say more beautiful, most beautiful. So most indicates the superlative degree of comparison. Or best, good, better, best. So this best or most in Sanskritam is Tamaha. That is why amongst the men, he is the best. So he is Purushottamaha. Tamaha comes there. If it is comparative, it is Taraha. Tara. Tara means you compare. There is nobody else, only positive, then you use the positive degree of comparison. Tamaha, Parama Apta Tamaha, the one who will do good to us. You can always use the other way around to say, he is the best in troubling me. You can use that. Parama Apta Tamaha, he does something good and he is the best in that. Parama Apta Tamaha. Now this Vyasa, Vedacharya Samahara. What is the greatness of Vyasa? See, besides the Pramana Granthas like Ramayana, Srimad Ramayana, Sri Mahabharatam, Bhagavatam, Vishnu Puranam, we are also, Bharatadesham is also the land that has produced many poets and dramatists. One of the great poets was Bharavi. Bharavi, he gave us a work called Kiratarjuniyam. Shriyat Kurunam Adhipasya Palini Prajasu Kamam Yamayunta Veditum Savarna Lingin Vidita Samayayo Yudhishtiram Dvaitavane Vanecharaha. Beautiful work, you should read Bharavi's Kiratarjuniyam. Lord Shiva comes as a Kirata. Kirata means hunter. So when Panchapandavas stay in the forest, Krishna tells, see, you have to get ready for the war. Yudhishthira asks, what war? No war. No, I know, you get ready. Then he calls Arjuna and says, see, now you have to go for exchange program. It is just not enough if you learn under Dronacharya, you have to go get some Divyastram. That is when he says, first you impress upon Mahadeva, who's called Ashutoshi. Many of my friends, while I used to work in Bombay, Mumbai, Maharashtrians have this name, Ashutosh. Many. Ashutoshi in Sanskrit means one who is impressed very fast. 2 minutes Maggie. Immediately is grant. So Mahadeva Shabdam Ashutoshi, Mangalakara. Immediately he grant. So Krishna said, you go worship Lord Shiva. That is when Arjuna started worshipping. And while he was worshipping, it is said that a wild boar came. Naturally, he was in the forest. He has gone to the place where wild boars live. Wild boar came attacking. But this was an instigated wild boar. It was instigated by Duryodhana. So it had to kill Arjuna. Arjuna was very sharp. Though he was meditating, it was like our meditation. He knew what was happening around. So he took the bow and arrow and shot an arrow at the boar. You may ask, is it allowed? In many of the states, you can have license to hunt, right? So he took that license. Now that boar fell. When the boar fell, it fell with 2 arrows that had struck the boar. So in those days, there were customized arrows. You can put, like, customized steel tumblers you used to get in those days. They used to do tinkering over the tumbler. During marriages, they used to give so that the other sister-in-law doesn't end up taking it. Put that. So this was a customized arrow. Now Arjuna saw another arrow which was that had not left his bow, neither found in his quiver nor the one that had left his bow. He checked whose it could be. That is when the person who owned and shot that arrow came. Very well built, handsome, with the crow feathers, peacock feathers, all of this lined up on his head. He was a Kirata, a hunter. He came with his wife. Wife was also very beautiful. Both of them came, and this man said, this hunter said, I shot the arrow, I eat the boar. Arjuna said, you want, you take the boar, but don't say that your arrow shot the boar first. Arjuna was very competitive. He had to get first. Don't say that your arrow struck the boar. But the hunter said, mine only struck. Yours may be in the boar's body, but it came much later. Mine was Tamil Nadu Express, yours was Grand Trunk. 2 trains used to go to Delhi in those days. One, it will reach the next day. If you start in the previous night, it will go 24 hours later. Grand Trunk will take its own time. You don't know when it will reach. Like it's our Jiva, which will go to Moksha. So while this was very humiliating to Arjuna, he said, let's have a duel. And he gave one knock on the left arm of the Kirata. What was the effect? There is a work called as Champu Bharatam by a person called, great poet called Ananta Kavi. Great work. Read these books. They are all available on archives.org. You don't have to buy. So if you have to buy, then you may say, who will read after my times? Now you read, delete, you can put that to recycle bin if you don't want. It is called Champu Bharatam. Beautiful work in Sanskrit. Ananta Kavi says, when he gave a shot at the Kirata's left arm, that lady's beads, the mala full of beads, they were unstrung and they fell down. Why, he asks? Because the lady who had come was Parvati and she was the Ardhangini of Shiva. So he gave a shot at the Kirata's left shoulder. The effect was felt in her. So then what she did was, she had never seen her husband receiving shots. Parvati Devi. Yata Ishushutim Jajapa, says Ananta Kavi. So she started reciting Yata Ishushuti. The Kavi says, Jajapa, for the protection of her husband. What is Yata Ishushuti? That is Sri Rudram. Yata Ishushivatama Shivam Babhuvate Dhanuhu Shiva Sharavya Tavataya Rudra Mridaya. First Anuvakam. of Sri Rudram. So she started reciting Rudram for the welfare of her husband, who is Rudra himself. So now there was a duel, and finally Arjuna realized, if somebody is able to sustain with so much of stamina while I am fighting, he must be noxious about me. And then he sees the Shivatvam in the person and prostrates at his feet. And then Shiva blesses him with Pashupatastra. You have heard of this? Now Arjuna going for the penance, doing the penance, then Shiva coming as a Kirata, the duel between them, and Shiva blessing him. This has been described in over 1,000 shlokas by a poet called Bharavi in Kiratarjuniyam. Beautiful work. Now in that, the person who composed was Bharavi. Bharavi, he was a prodigial poet. Right from his young days, he used to compose poetry just like this. And people took attention of this, and they were appreciative of his prowess, poetic prowess. So they used to give him one title every now and then. Some organization used to call, they'll give one title. They'll hold this and say, even for us, they'll give some they'll call it, the organization is bored. Don't give any more lectures, they'll give one title. Upanyasa Kesari, Upanyasa Upma. So he had to be given a title, everyone used to honor him. Eventually Bharavi got married. Even then the entire city, media, they were all supporting, except his father. Bharavi's father was not supportive. Not supportive, he was not very appreciative. Not like the Kali Yuga fathers. Kali Yuga fathers are super appreciative of the children. Even if they breathe, see how beautifully they breathe. The air gets into one nostril and comes out of the other. Fantabulous. He will send one video, his friend was a bigger than this one. Fantabulous. How is your son breathing? It's Kali Yugam father. Post Kali Yugam, pre Kali Yugam, early days of Kali Yugam, Bharavi's father was not very appreciative. I'm sure the elderly people will know. None of your fathers will also be appreciative. Or they are Bharavi's fathers. Now, Bharavi felt very dejected. He said, if my father doesn't appreciate me, what is the use in somebody else appreciating? So he decided to kill his father. How do you appreciate your father? Now, Bharavi, he knew where the strategic place where his father used to come and eat in the afternoon. See, if your house is nearby, workplace is nearby, you can do that. So in those days, Bharavi's father used to go out, come, and then used to eat. So Bharavi knew that exact place where his father used to sit. So he opened those little tiles that were covering the roof, and he took one big piece of stone so that he can let that fall on this wretched man's head. His father was eating, mother was serving. And I was telling you, suddenly somebody said, why should the woman only serve? The night he served. So as she was serving, she had this question, incidentally that day. See, the entire city, the neighborhood is appreciative of him. Why aren't you appreciating our dear son Bharavi, so talented? The father said, Shastra says, the father or the mother should not appreciate their own children. It doesn't mean you have to ridicule them or criticize them, but you should not appreciate. You should listen to what others appreciate. Shastra tells them. Pratyakshe guravastutya. If at all you want to praise someone, it should be your guru. You have to praise your guru in the front. Vedanta Deshika uses the shloka. Mantram yatnena gopayet. Yat prakasha prakashabhyam kshiyete sampada yushi. Gurum prakashayet dhiman. The one who is a good student will always appreciate his teacher. Appreciate that. Now, As he was trying to justify why he was not appreciative of his son, Bharati was listening to this. Bharati immediately fell and told his father, sorry, I've committed a grave crime of even having the thought to kill you, my dear father. I didn't know the intent. So please give me a prayaschittam. That is when he says, that's a different prayaschittam, may not be relatable today. Should I tell that prayaschittam? So the prayaschittam was, father tells, okay, since you're asking me time and again what is the prayaschittam, I'll tell you. Now you have to go to your mother-in-law's house. Bharati was married. That is not a punishment, right? First day, she welcomed her son-in-law so well. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, come. Please come in. And then there was a huge leaf laid for lunch. To eat the dishes on the other side of the leaf, you have to go to the other side. That broad enough. The next day it became 3/4 size. Number of dishes came down by half. Next day, for the afternoon tiffins, they will get one small piece. Bengaluru ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿ ಭವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಸಾಲ ದೋಸೆಗೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ. Next day, she asked, will you have plate itself? Beef is not available. Patel Brothers is not available. Costco also, it's not available. So, he said, okay. Then another day, she said, see, I'm tired of cooking so many dishes. It's only curd rice today. Masala kabalam. He said, it's okay. Then the next day came. She said, see, serving you and then me eating, it's taking a lot of time. I have to watch the Wives of the Beverly Hills. So, let us both eat together. Now, he needed some salt for the curd rice. So, he asked, can you please pass that salt? So, she took some salt with her left hand. Now, again, you may ask, sir, so what by left hand? You're sinistrous, that's all right. Other person is dexterous, that's okay. She took, and then he didn't eat. After she gave salt, he said, I can go back. Why? His father said, till your mother-in-law gives you salt from her left hand, you have to stay in that house. That is the price. So Bharati came. Now, what do we understand from this? Fathers should generally not appreciate, correct? But what is the greatness of Vyasa? Vyasa's father Parashara tells his student Maitreya, Krishna Dvaipayanam Vyasam Vidhinarayanam Prabhu Kohyanyo Bhuvi Maitreya Mahabharata Kribhave. Who but my son Vedavyasa, also called Krishna Dvaipayana, can create a magnum opus such as Mahabharata, and he appreciates his son. If the very well read Parashara Maharshi himself has to go one step over the Shastric line which says don't appreciate your son and appreciate his son, then how great Vyasa must have been to get the testimonial from his father. That is the greatness of Vishnu Sahasranamam, Vedacharya Samahara. So the one who gave us, again, be very, very careful. Vedavyasa's original name was Krishna. He was a dark one. Born on an island formed in the fresh waters of Yamuna, Dvipam. So he was called Dvaipayana. Krishna Dvaipayana. Later, in his later age, he took up this huge task of compiling the Vedas, because Vedic injunctions and aphorisms were all in the form of sound. They were all just heard. And they were in different formats. So Vyasa, what he did was, Krishna Dvaipayana, he segregated them. Those mantras which are in prose format, they were called Yajus. Those which were poetic in nature, they were called Rik. Those which are poetic in nature and are worthy to be sung, it became Sama. He segregated them. This process of bucketing, of categorizing is called Vyasam. Since he did the Vyasam to the Vedas, he is called Veda Vyasa. So Veda Vyasa's original name was Krishna Dvaipayana. In all the certificates, it is Krishna Dvaipayana. P. Krishna Dvaipayana. Father is Parashara. Now, this is the greatness of Vishnu Sahasranamam. Though Bhishmacharya might have uttered the Vishnu Sahasranamam, it was compiled by Vyasa. So it has been agreed by Vyasa. That is the greatness. Vedacharya Samahara. What is the nama for this? Vachaspatihi. 579th nama. Where does it come? Dravina Pradaha Divisprit. Open your mouth. Open your mouth. Dravina Pradaha Divisprit Sarva Drityaso Vachaspatirayo Nijaha Trisama Sama Gassama Nirvanam Peshakam Vishak. Sanyasa Krichama Shanto Nishtha Shanti Parayanam. There you get this nama Vachaspati. What does Vachaspati mean? Parashara Bhatta tells Panchama Veda Rupayaha Vachaha Swami. The one who owns. When I say own, don't ask me how much he bought it for. Owns means who literally has the intellectual property rights with him. IP rights. Panchama Veda Rupayaha. Yesterday at about 6:55, I spoke about Bharata Panchamo Vedaha. It is the fifth Veda. Then I spoke about Pancharattam yesterday. 7:5. Correct? So this Panchama Veda Rupayaha, the fifth Veda equivalent. Now, if somebody asks how many Vedas are there, you should say only 4. But if at all, like how we keep asking India should get one place in the Security Council, don't make it 5, make it 6. If at all there is a debate, then the fifth member in the Veda category should be Mahabharata. So the one who gave us Mahabharata, Panchama Veda Rupayaha, Vachaha Swami, he is the Swami for that particular work. Now, interestingly, for this Nama, I will read out what Shankara has to say, because we are now in this Shankara Ramanuja Jayanti celebrations. We will also see what Shankara has to say. Vachaspati Ayonija iti sa Viseshanam Yekam Nama. Vachaha Vidyayaha Patihi Vachaspatihi Yonyam Najayata iti Ayonijaha. So he has combined a few names. Now he says Vachaha Vidyayaha Patihi Vachaspatihi. The one who owns eloquence. Vachaha. See, when someone speaks, you should keep listening to them. The person should not keep telling, listen, 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 everybody, listen, listen. Nobody listens. So when Krishna spoke, they listened. That is the greatness of a speaker. The content should be good. The delivery should be better. So you have to own that speech. So here, as per Parashara Bhatta, Vachaspati is Veda Vyasa. No doubt, Vachaspati is Veda Vyasa. In certain portions of the Puranas, if we understand Vachaspati, it also denotes the Guru of the Devas called Brihaspati. Brihaspati is also referred to as Vachaspati in certain cases. In very rare occasions, Brahma is also referred to as Vachaspati. Hiranyagarbha is also Vachaspati. But in my opinion, if you ask, nobody asks. But if you ask, what is your opinion? I would say Hanuman is Vachaspati. Navabhyakarana Pandita. He knew how to speak. So what is communication? Only if we speak, we are wrong. Communication need not have to be always oral. It can be body language as well. See, how will a 1-year-old child be able to communicate to the mother? How will the mother know? No, he's not hungry now, don't worry. She tells. How is the boy able to communicate? So body language. Hanuman was adept in that as well. So he was Navabhyakarana Pandita. Where do we get this occasion? So in Srimad Ramayanam, Hanuman comes in the second half. First half he's not there. In PS1 he's not there. PS2 only he comes. So when Hanuman comes, we should understand Hanuman was not a Sajatiya Vastu. He did not belong to the category of humans. We don't know exactly if Vanaras were monkeys, but they were not humans. Whether they were semi-humans, hemi-humans, we don't know. All research you do. So, Hanuman was the Sachiva, secretary and advisor to the estranged brother of Vali, the excommunicated brother of Vali called Sugriva. So Sugriva was always perennially worried if his brother would dispatch men to kill him. The moment he spots these two gym-bodied men coming, so he says, Hanuman, you go and check. Hanuman goes. First, remember the constraints what Hanuman has. Hanuman is not of Narajati, of humans. Secondly, he did not study in a co-ed school. Even his friends list in Facebook didn't have women. Only men, strictly men. So he did not know how a woman would act, how a woman would think, nothing of it. He goes. Now he goes in the disguise of a Brahmana, all that is there in Ramayana, that you can check later. Now as he goes, Rama and Lakshmana come in front of him. Now Hanuman speaks. And from Hanuman's speech, Rama is able to get the best of it. He says there is no speaker as good as him, Lakshmana. He praises Hanuman's speech to Lakshmana. Now the beauty is, had we been there in that place, imagine I had been in that place. I would have asked, sir, where are you coming from? Where is your wife? Oh, she's been kidnapped. Very sorry to hear this. Tell me from the first, how this kidnapped happened? If he was sad, I will make him sadder by asking him to narrate. This would have been me. That's why I was not there in Ramayana. Hanuman is Vachaspati, right? He doesn't only know how to speak, he can decipher even body language. The moment he sees Rama with Kacham, so in those days, there were certain external attributes given through jewelry and through other accessories like clothing to indicate if the woman or the man is married or not. So if the person has got Kacham in 5 places, it undergoes a fold. It is called Pancha Kacham, which generally Grihasthas will wear. You have to be very careful in Sanskritam. You should say Pancha Kacham is worn by Grihasthas. Not all men who sport Pancha Kacham are Grihasthas. You get the difference? All Grihasthas should wear Pancha Kacham. But not all Pancha Kacham wearing men are Grihasthas. Like Bhishmacharya. Bhishmacharya wore Pancha Kacham. He was a Grihastha, but his wife was not there with him. Bhishmacharya, again telling, he practiced brahmacharyam, he practiced celibacy, but he was a Grihastha. So here Hanuman spotted Rama wearing Panchakacham, which means Rama is a Grihastha. But to prove that he is married or not, Rama is carrying a stick with fire burning in its end, called Agnihotra Agni. So married men in those days had to perform fire rites at 3 points in time in a day. Treta Agni, it was called, morning, afternoon, evening. And you have to maintain the same fire through all the 3 junctures throughout your life. And when that person dies, the person who's been performing Agnihotram dies, the Agni that he has been igniting will be used to burn him. You cannot use the matchstick and say, no. You have to use that Agni. So if Rama is carrying Agnihotra Agni, it means he is married. Now, the other part to this. Okay, Rama carried the Agnihotra Agni. What if his wife is dead? If the wife is dead, you cannot perform any activity related to the fire. A widower can't do. He neither cook can he perform Agni rites. So widower in Sanskritam is called Vidhura. Not Vidura. Vidhu. Spray. Vidhura. Dhava in Sanskritam means husband. Mahalakshmi is Ma. So Mahalakshmi's husband is Madhava. Without the Dhava, you are Vidhava. Without the wife, you are Vidhura. So Vidhuradikaranam comes in Brahma Sutra. So without the wife, you can't perform Agnihotram. But Rama is having the stick with Agni, which means his wife is still living. He's a grihastha, he's married, his wife is living. But where is his wife? Because Rama's face is sad, Hanuman understands this place is infested with demons. There are many cases where the demons come and kidnap. Probably his wife is kidnapped, that is why his face is sad. So he concludes, I will not ask him a single pondering question. That is Vachaspati. You should always understand the person standing opposite you, their body language, how they speak. And then you should not probe them with troubling questions. Vachaspati. 579th Nama. Fourth greatness I spoke. Mahabharata Saratvat, Rishibhiv Pariganataha, Vedacharya Samaharat. Fourth one I spoke. Bhishmotkrisha Matatvataha. Next, fifth one. What is the fifth greatness of Vishnu Sahasranamam? Jagat Hita Parigrahati Shayataha means commonly accepted and practiced by all. Parigrahati Shayataha. I tell you, Sahasranamam is not there only for Vishnu. It is there for many devatas we here in Sanatana. We have another famous Sahasranamam in Brahmanda Puranam called Lalita Sahasranamam. Sindhura Runa Vigraham Trinayanam Manikamauli Surattara Nayaka Shekaram Smitamukim Apira Vakshoruham Panibhyam Manipurna Ratna Chashakam Gaktotparam Bhidradim Saumyam Ratna Ghadastarakta Charanam Dhyayet Paramambika Arunam Tarunam Tarangitakshim Dhrita Pashankusha Pushpa Bana Chapam Animadi Bhira Dhrita Mayukhairaham Ityeva Vibhavaye Bhavani Dhyayet Padmasanastam Vikasita Vadanam Padma Patrayatakshi Hemavam Pita Vastram Karakadila Satyeva Padmam Varangi Sarva Alankara Yuktam Sasadama Bhayatam Bhaktanam Bhavani Shri Vidyam Shantamurtim Sakala Suranutam Sarva Sampat Pradatri Sakunkuma Vilepanam Anika Chumbika Studikam Samantahasi Dekshanam Sachara Chapa Pasham Kushama Sesha Janamodini Arunamalya Bhushambara Japa Kusuma Basuram Japa Vida Usmaretam Vikam Shri Mata. It begins correct. So this is another famous. It has got a commentary of Bhaskaracharya. Another Sahasranamam which is very popular. If you go to the east of India, Durga Sahasranamam is very popular. So during Rahu Kala, many devotees of Jharkhand, Bihar, Bengal have this habit of reading Durga Sahasranamam. If you come to the south, there is Venkatesha Sahasranamam, very popular. There is one Sahasranama which comes in Mahabharatam just after Vishnu Sahasranamam. This is Shiva Sahasranamam. Many Sahasranams. Now in 2023 we have many. Except my name, everybody else has one Sahasranama. Matsya Sahasranama, Purva Sahasranama, Narasimha Sahasranama, Vamana Sahasranama. But when Bhagavad Pada in Mohamudgaram sings, Geyam Gita Nama Sahasram, it doesn't qualify the word Sahasranamam with the word. We can construe it could be any Sahasranamam, right? But Shastram says if only people say Sahasranamam, it means Vishnu Sahasranamam. So that is the greatness of Vishnu Sahasranamam. It has been accepted by all. Parigrahati Shayataha. Now, what is the commentary to this? I will read out the commentary, then you know the greatness. Parigrahohi Sarvabhaumo Bhagavan Nama Sahasrasya Shastreshu Tavad Sarva Parvani Devo Nama Sahasravan. Sarva Parvani. Sanskritam has its own greatness. In English, let's take how we distribute content in a book. What do we call it? Chapters? Chapters? Tell me a few other names that we use. Chapters, modules. Module is not exactly chapter. And then? Cantos. Then
Sections.
sections. Very good. Essences. Lessons. Okay. Lessons, modules are kind of close, but they actually mean a different thing because you can create many modules within the same chapter. Okay. Now I'll give you a few examples. Srimad Ramayanam is distributed into kandams, eras. Bala Kandam, Ayodhya Kandam, Aranya Kandam, Sundara Kandam, Kishkinda Kandam, Yuddha Kandam, Uttara Kandam. Mahabharata is distributed into parvas. Adi Parva, Sabha Parva, Mana Parva, Virata Parva, Udyoga Parva, Bhishma Parva, Drona Parva, Karna Parva, Shalya Parva, Sautrantika Parvas, Three Vilapa Parva, Swargarohana Parva, Ashwamedha Parva, Anushasana Parva, Shanti Parva. These are all Parvas. Let us take Bhagavatam, Skandam, Prathama Skandam, Dvitiya Skandam, Vishnu Puranam, Amsham, Prathamamsham, Dvitiyamsham, Tritiyamsham, Krishna Karnamritam, Ashwasam, Paduka Sahasram, chapters are called Paddhati, Lakshmi Sahasram, the chapters are called Stavakams. Look at the bouquet, variety that you get. And it has to go, see, it has to go along with the topic. See, for example, if Vedanta Deshika talks about the Padukas of the Lord, so he has distributed and called those chapters as steps, Paddhati, because with Padukas you take steps. If it is Lakshmi, the chapters are called Stabakams, which means garlands. First garland, second garland, third garland. So it has to be thematic also. Now marriages are all very thematic, right? Even works were thematic. So, Shastreshu Tavat Sarva Parvani Devo Nama Sahasravam. So it has been, Vishnu Sahasranamam has been revered in the Parvas of Mahabharatam. Iti Bhagavanapi Nama Sahasra Sambandhena Bhushyate Shri Vishnu Dharmecha Gajendra Moksha Varnane. There is a work called Vishnu Dharma. In that there is a prakaranam where Gajendra calls for help. You know that elephant? He calls for help. Sahasra Yudha Namanam Adidevam Bhajam Vibhum. So he says, the one who is revered by the 1,000 names, come and protect me. So he mentions Nama Sahasram there. Iti atra chopodvat phalashutya guna prapancha drakshate ayurvedadishu cha drishta shastreshu drishta adrishta shastreshu yatha charaka samhitayam. Charaka, one of the earlier known medical practitioners, he says, Vishnu Sahasra Murdhanam Charachara Patim Vipum Stuvan Nama Sahasrena Jwaran Sarvan Vyapohati. You go to the doctor, they will give you a prescription. They'll say, if you have got sugar, take initial, just now it has come to 5.9 or 6 or something in the HbA1c. Say, first take metformin. They will say, slowly as you progress, you make good progress in sugar levels. Then they will give you combination, metformin plus glimepiride, glipentlamine, gliclazide, they will give you. Then as you go to the next stage, they will tell, no, you have to change the drug itself, pioglitazole. You will go to the next level. Then after that, call the priest. So, now in those days, patients used to go to Charaka. He used to tell, take this herb, that herb, squeeze this, take this. At the end, they used to say, recite Vishnu Sahasranama. Prescription used to have it. Recite Vishnu Sahasranama. Of course, Sanatana Dharma believes that you have to follow the medical rules. You have to, whatever the doctor says, you have to take. Over and above that, you need the divine presence also. So he says, Charaka says, Jwaran Sarvan Vyapohati. Jwaran Sarvan. All the fevers will go away by reciting Vishnu Sahasranama. Is that true, sir? See, there is one anecdote from the great sage of Kanchi called Paramacharya. He lived for close to 100 years. Just fell short of a few months. He walked Ase to Himachalam, he walked the country. He was a pontiff known. His Pitha Namam was Chandrasekharendra Saraswati. He was a small, very small stature, full of bones, thin layer of skin over him, and he used to walk for miles. That great he was. Now, while he once camped in Chennai, the erstwhile Madras, he had a fever of 104. Immediately, the Sishyas panicked and they said, we need to call the doctor. To which the Acharya said, don't call the doctor. Call 150 Pandits, scholars who have learned Vedam. He had himself nurtured many Patashalas. 150 Pandits were called. They didn't know what he will ask. He said, recite Vishnu Sahasranamam thrice. They recited 22 minutes, 22 minutes, 22 minutes. Roughly in 1 hour, you can complete. 1 hour, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you can complete thrice. 3 avritis to Vishnu Sahasranamam. Then he said, he called his Sishya and said, check my temperature now. It was 98. Then immediately they asked, why did you do this? Because Charaka says, Jwaran Sarvan Yabohadi. If Charaka says it will be true, fever will go if you recite Sahasranam. Of course, it needs a lot of tapobalam also like him. But Sahasranamam has this panacea in it. So have Crocin, have Dolo, Tylenol, have Tylenol. Iti, and you have to believe in Sahasranamam here, because I was told if you fall immediately you will not get an appointment. Only 2 days later you get, and then you recite Sahasranamam. Jwaran sarvan vyapohadi iti adyatamecha nara viprakirna mule mehasya prayaschitte japyam hadi iti adyatamecha nara viprakirna mule mehasya prayaschitte japyam Purusha Suktakam ityarabhya tathaiva bhagavannama sahasram bharatoditam yakshamaha. It was very good for urinary problems. Sahasranamam was given in those days. He says, Vipramule, Viprakirna mule, tathaiva bhagavannama sahasram parikirtaye. So, problems with the kidney, for them also Sahasranamam is a solution. Jvara Viseshasya Homastu Purva Japyam Vishnu Nama Sahasrakam Grahadehi. So if you're doing let's say one Havan or Homam or a series of Homams, you're doing Sudarshana Homam, Chandi Homam, Rudra Homam, Ganapati Homam, Navagraha Homam, all these Homams. There will be dosham in what we perform. See, when you're doing a certain procedure, there will be, that's why in chemistry we call that error. We give that error when we do the titration. We have to rinse it with distilled water and then rinse it with the solution with which you're doing titrating. If you don't do it, your endpoint may not be correct. So we always give that plus or minus buffer. This could happen. So when you're doing homam in your house for the good of your family, there could be certain doshams. So what will we do as prayashchittam to that? Sahasranamam say, Mahatmiyam says, recite Sahasranamam for that. So after all the homos, you recite Sahasranamam, all the doshams will get nullified. So he says, Marut Suktam Vishnu Nama Sahasrakam Anyatra Chaiva Vidham Anveshtavyam Prakritaha Kavayopidam Sarvajiva Rakshanatmena Varnayanti Yata. Now comes this word. Bhattavanaha Sudika Griha Varnane. Have you heard of a work in Sanskritam called Kadambari? Kadambari was given by a person called Banabhatta. It was one of the earliest known Sanskritam novels. I'm talking 1200, 1300 years back. Banabhatta tells, while describing a certain scene, he describes the Sutika Griha. Sutika Griha is labor room, where the lady delivers. He says in those days, in a labor room, at one corner, they used to take turns and 4 people used to continuously keep reciting Sahasranam. Banabhatta, Sutika Griha Varnane, Avichinna Patyamana, Avichinna means uninterrupted, Patyamana, Narayana Nama Sahasrakam. Because he says there is so much sound in this Sahasranamam that it will aid the mother in pushing the child out. Banabhattaha, Ilokacha, Grahanadarana. Then there is a list where all Sahasranamam was used. So Vishnu Sahasranamam has been accepted by all. That is the point. Fifth point. Parigraha Adishayataha. What is the nama for that? 586th nama. Bishak. What does Bishak mean? Physician. Why is he called Bishak? Parashara Bhatta says, Samyak Vidita Nidana Chikitsako Bishak. Look at the greatness of the commentary. Parashara Bhatta tells, why is the Lord called Bishak? He says, because he diagnoses his patient who is his devotee correctly and then he gives the medicine. So that is very important, right? I know 4 medicines. For whatever you come, I'll give you this medicine. You could tell it that. So, Samyak Vidita Nidana Chikitsakaha, the one who, that is why it is very important for a doctor, a medical practitioner to be very good at speaking. People generally say, so you're a speaker, so you're speaking. No. Speaking ability is that which should be owned by every professional, every mother, every father. You're a medical practitioner, you should know how to talk to your patient. You should know how to understand what medicines they were taking previously. Where will there be any contraindications? What medicines did you have before? And you should also ask for the history. Okay, if this is there in your parents or grandparents, what medicine did you take recently? These 2 medicines, there will be a drug-drug interaction. It can't go well. Just like that, we go 2 minutes, he has got 100 patients, next 2 minutes, I take Tylenol, this. It can't work that way. So the Lord diagnoses us well and then gives the prescription. So he is called Bishop. Just like that, he is not a person who has got a degree. He understands his devotee and then gives us. So if the doctor understands our history, our ailment, diagnoses well, and he gives us medicine, we take it with due respect, right? Similarly, the Lord knows our Purva Janma Karma, Iha Janma Karma, and gives us one solution. Or however be it, we should learn how to accept it as is. We want to change that. That is why we look for horoscopes. We want to change. No, sir, I'm not happy with this medicine. Give us another medicine. I am not happy. So this is the greatness. 5th point. 6th point. Finally, we are coming to the 6th point. Gita Taikartha Kaschanaha. Gita. You know, how many of you have learned Shastriya music? There are many Vidwans here. How many of you have children who are learning? How many of you have children who will discontinue after a certain age? Third level. Right. So, there are 2 large genres of Shastriya music in Bharatadesha. One is the South Indian music, which is called Karnataka Sangeetam. Second is the Hindustani music. There are many commonalities, a few differences as well. I don't know much about Hindustani, and neither do I know about Karnataka. But if that is 0, this is 0.1. So, in Shastriya Sangeetam, to any student, we take up a ragam like Maya Malava Gola. That is the commonly taken ragam. And then we do that scale. It has to have all the swaras and then we teach them that. But these are all just permutations and combinations. Sari gama padani sa sari 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 gama sari 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 sari. These are all just permutation combinations. So the child is not exposed to any music for the first few months until the child reaches the stage called Geetam. That Geetam stage, the child is taught on little Sahitya. Lambodara Lakumikaro. Lakumikara comes there. Many of them will know this. This Lakumikara. Because after this they may stop. So Geetam is music, song. Geetam is song. Now when Arjuna asked questions, Krishna wanted to sing. See, in Rama Avataram, Rama was very conscious. If people say sing, no, I just I'm out of practice. I tell all this. Yes, Krishna, if you say even before you start, he'll start singing. But his voice was not great, so he used to play the flute. Instrument better. So there was only one opportunity where he had one audience for this concert. That was Arjuna. Arjuna was caught. He said, Krishna, he asked, what should I do? Ratham Sthavaya Achyuta, should I fight or not? Krishna wanted to know, show his singing skills. Mattah paradaram nanyatu kinchidasti dhanjaya. People are waiting to fight. Vai sarvamidam proktam sutre maniganaiva sutre. Violin. A page from was borrowed by the Telugu directors in those days. If you see the 1960s, N.T. Ramarao Garu will come to fight with Rangaram. Middle of the battlefield, Kedara Gaulam. Oh Ravana! Swaraprasthanam in that. Shri Mani Mandira Bhakta Mandara Trailokya Sammohana on the battlefield. Tara Prema Avatara Jagannatha. Take one arrow. The distance between Rama and Ravana used to be only 10 feet. Ravana used to go for 5 minutes. Krishna wanted to see. He was waiting for an opportunity. Arjuna opened his mouth and asked his question. Krishna started. So, Aurobindo called this, you know what he called this? The song of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita is Bhagavan's Gita, music. He sang. So, that Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses, essence, because for Bhagavad Gita it will take 4 hours to recite. Vishnu Sahasranamam 22 minutes. So essence of Krishna's Bhagavad Gita is also there in Vishnu Sahasranamam. So essence of Gita is in Vishnu Sahasranamam. Essence of Mahabharatam is in Vishnu Sahasranamam. It has been accepted by all. At the same time, it has been uttered by Bhishma, compiled by Vyasa. What more do you need? This is the greatness. Says Parashara Bhatta Gita Taikartha Kaschana. Now, I will take you through some of the avatars mentioned in Sri Vishnu Sahasranamam. Now, 539th Ragam. Now, you may ask, why are you using so many books? See, I am not Anantarama Dikshita. In the 1960s, 50s, one of the stalwarts in speaking was Tengalikuram Anantarama Dikshita. He knew 18,000 shlokas of Bhagavatam by heart, 24,000 shlokas of Ramayanam by heart. So, he will have one Sishya. Dronyasya, then the Sishyas will say, Viprushtamidam Madangam. Then he would go to the next. And I was conducted, Shukabramam, shoulder, other. He'll go on. They don't need books. Because a good speaker will never use notes. Likhita Pathakaha. In those days, if you use notes and speak, you're not a good speaker. Now, 539th Nama. Onwards, it is Varaha Avatar. Varaha, who made him popular? Rishabh. Varaha Rudam Devavaritam. For Tirupanalvar, you need Shahrukh. Kundal Vandane Kovalan. So, all alvars have outsourced to them. 539th Nama. So, the Nama, it starts here. Tridashadhyakshaha, Mahashringaha, Kritantakriti, Mahavaraha, Govinda. 5 Namas talk about Varaha Avataram, it's Parashara Bhatta. Tridashadhyakshaha, Sayeva Brahmadehe Pralayapat Sakhatvatu Tridashadhyakshaha. Who is Tridashadhyakshaha? The one who came to the rescue of Brahma. When did he come to Brahma? Now, Swayambhuva Manu, you have to go back to Bhagavatam. Swayambhuva Manu went and complained to Brahma that the creation, whatever has been created, has been submerged into the waters of deluge. And then Brahma thought, he was worried. And then from his nostrils sprung a little bowl, Mahavaraha Sputa Padmalocana. We know this, why are you telling all this to us? But there is a technical problem here. People keep asking this, if Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, South China Sea, all this is in earth, how can you keep the earth in the ocean? No, sir. Vishnu was, Hiranyaksha was very free that day. He took all the waters from the ocean, put that into a jar. Then kept the earth minus the oceans into the water. So it's submerged. Is this all possible? No. Not possible. See, Hiranyaksha was just another demon. He was a Brahmana. He was a son of Kashyapa Maharshi. He had some extra powers, that's all. Malyuddha, great gym body he was, that's all. Now taking the entire earth and keeping in the waters, is that possible? I can't say, I'm not saying it is possible, whether it's possible or not. Logically, it is untenable. Next. You have to remove that earth from the solar system first. You have to take that from that revolving place and then keep it elsewhere. And then the place where it gets submerged should be at least twice the diameter of the sphere to get submerged. Then there should be organisms on it to form a little layer of moss over the submerged earth, because Andal tells Pasi Turthu Kidanda. Now, how do we finalize this? Now, Vyasa and Valmiki, great Acharya Varyas, have given their works in the form of poetry. Poetry will always have different figures of speech and loads of exaggeration. You should always learn how to declutter it, de-exaggerate it, and then bring it to a normal situation. We as speakers and learners should have that ability to do it. One. Second, they also have given us homework. Read the lines and read between the lines. They have given us homework. But when have we done our homework? We never do. Now let me give you a few mundane examples. Here as well, of course, you have communities here. You have similar looking houses in a community. Way back, if you're associated through your relatives, or if you have lived at some point in time in Bharatadesha, you will know. There's a concept of apartments in the last 20, 30 years. Before that, it was all independent houses. So people used to construct houses in a piece of land. Suppose I have got a 30 feet by 40 feet land, half a ground plot. I have to construct. Prior to constructing, what will I do? Prior to constructing, before foundation, what will I do? I'll plan. Before planning, what will I do? After I bought the plot, before construction, what will I do? Fence it. Level the ground. Before construction, what will I do?
Bhumi Puja.
Bhumi Puja, correct? Bhumi Puja. Am I doing puja to the entire Bhumi or to the 30 by 40 plot? I'm doing it only to the 30 by 40 plot. But I'm not calling it 30-40 puja. I'm calling it Bhumi Puja. Correct? That small piece of land which is minuscule to the proportion and what the earth is, still I wish to call it Bhumi. I still see Bhumi Devi there. So you have this general, how do we speak? We say Bhumi Puja, which means I'm doing puja only to that piece of land. I'm not doing to the entire Bhumi. But people know when I say Bhumi Puja, they won't ask. You're doing puja to the entire earth, they won't ask. Because they are used to, they know that I'm doing puja only to my 30 by 40 plot. Similarly, if we understand Kashyapa Jati, Kashyapa was a great Maharshi who lived by the foothills of beautiful mountains. Since he lived there for many time and the procreation happened there, many people were born around that region. It was Kashyapa Bihara, which became Kashmira. Kalhana and Rajatarangini says this. This is Kashyapa Vihara, Kashyapa Bhumi. Kashyapa had many wives. Now, don't ask me why. He had many, he didn't ask my opinion. He had many wives. Amongst those wives, there were one set which comes in Adi Parva of Mahabharata, Kadru and Vinata. Have you heard of them? Kadru. Through Kadru, were born the snakes. Now again, scientific question. How will the human and the, another human give rise to snakes? Probably they were Adhidevatas for the snakes. See, snakes will be of a certain species, genus, phylum, kingdom there. You own the snakes, you adopt those snakes. So generally people, how many of you have pets? People who have pets, they treat those pets as their very own children. If you go ask one couple, how many kids do you have? 3. No, but I was told you have only 2. When was the 3rd born? No, that's a pet. So you own the pet. You have so much of love for the pet, you start owning the pet. Similarly, Kashyapa might have owned the snakes around that region. Right? Like how Voldemort had Nagini. He had snakes. Now the first snake was called Ananta. The senior most of all the snakes that he tamed was called Ananta. Since later he became the eternal servant to the Lord, servant or subservience is Seshatvam. He was a first servant, so he became Adi Sesha. This Ananta was a snake, Nagam. So that is why in Kashmir you have this place called Anant Nag. Another snake called Takshaka. That is why Takshaka Shila became Takshila. You had another snake called Karkota. That is why dynasty of Lalita, Aditya, Muktapeda, many other things who came much later was called Karkota dynasty in that region. Similarly, you had 2 other wives called Aditi and Diti. Diti had sons through Kashyapa called Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Both of them, Hiranya means gold. Now generally in discourses, he had gold throughout his body. Wrong. His body had the complexion of yellow. So people thought he was yellow of me. Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. Now this Hiranyaksha was later killed by Varahamurti. Varaha Moolam killed him. So Varaha Mula, Va becomes Ba in many languages. Varaha Mulla is Baramulla in Kashmir. So Multan in Pakistan today, Multan was called Moolasthanam. That is where Hiranyakashipu's Rajyam was. There used to be a temple for Prahlada in those days, along the banks of Chandrabhaga. Those river names have changed. Lambodari has become Liddar. Jhelum, Ravi, Bias. Those are all names which come from the Punjabi accent. But in those days, Puranas give them a different name. Hiranyaksha would have been in that region. We all talk about pollution today. Correct? Everybody goes in different vehicles, flights, they go to one place to discuss climate change. They will all go. They will all go now. Similarly, we talk about pollution today. Yes, we are all criminals in a way. We have troubled Mother Nature. But the past was not all very holy. It was not very holy. See, well, I used to study. I don't know how many of you have had this experience. Well, I used to be in class 10. You know, my mother used to tell one thing. She used to say, you are not studying as good as what you were studying in class 8. Well, I used to be in class 10. She used to tell the same thing. She used to say, you're not studying as good as what you were studying in class 9. Then I realized this was her way of motivating. So pollution is not something new. It has been there in the past. There were various ways you can trouble Mother Nature. This region from Arunachal Pradesh, parts of Bhutan, Sikkim, Nepal, lower part of Tibet. I hope you know the map. Some parts of Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Ladakh, Kashmir, upper parts of Pakistan and Afghanistan, and lower parts of the Central Asian countries like Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, all this forms the Himalayan range. The end you call it Karakoram, lower part you call it Shivalik, upper part you call it Himachal. This is how the topography is. So as you go higher, they are snow-capped. And they will have glaciers. Those glaciers give rise to perennial rivers like Brahmaputra, Indus, Ganga, Yamuna, and so on. So this Hiranyaksha around that region would have done various notorious means to trouble the glaciers. So the glaciers would have melted, and as they melt, the rivers swell. As rivers swell, the habitats around the rivers submerge. So even if one part of the habitat is submerged, you still say the Bhumi is submerged, like the Bhumi Puja. So this piece of earth, let's say habitat is submerged, you would say the Bhumi is submerged. Now this Bhumi is submerged is what Vyasa tells. Now for us, what is our understanding of Bhumi submerged? The entire earth got submerged. If the entire earth had got submerged, then after Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu should have not lived, even because he would have got submerged. Prahlada was hale and healthy. So this portion alone got submerged. So what is the way to bring a portion of earth up? See, I have many lectures that I give in Chennai. So when I go to Chennai, I stay in one of my very good friend's house. Every time I would go, I would see the vicinity. One time I went, I saw one house which was bordering his house, rise by about 6 to 7 feet. I checked if this Bhumi has some problem. What has happened? You know, if we grow tall, it's okay. House grows tall. House grows. How is that possible? I checked. Then he told me, see, when rains come, water gets inside the house. So the only way to avoid the water coming inside the house, and you know, we keep laying roads over, it is like different layers of mango mat. Mango mat, you know, that sweet, various layers, the road keeps rising. So the house has to match that. So now there is a technique where they put levers and elevate the entire house, which was not known at least 30, 40 years back. Here you may have known. In India, it was not known. So the entire house has risen. Similarly, a portion of land which was submerged due to the swelling waters in the rivers because of the unexpected melting of the glaciers caused by the notorious means to disturb Mother Nature given by Hiranyaksha, the Lord emerged as Varaha and lifted that portion of the habitat up. Correct? Now, there are 2-3 ways of personifying Varaha. Agamam tells, one way it tells that Varaha can be personified as an entire animal, full animal. You have heard of Khajuraho? It is in Madhya Pradesh. If you go to Khajuraho set of temples, I think in the Lakshmana temple, there will be a huge board, 1300 years old. Check Khajuraho Varaha on Google. You'll find a huge board. It will be a proper board. On the body of the board, you'll find the Devatas and all of them sculpted. So the Lord came as a proper board and using his tusks, which were looking like 2 crescent moons attached to a tuber. Neelavarai irand pirai kavvi nirundadoppa. He lifted Mother Earth, which means he helped the people who lost their houses in one part of the earth rise. So this is Varaha Avatar. There is another way Agamam tells that you have to personify Varaha with a Shariram of Vishnu, head of Varaha, that you see in many temples. Now these are the namas that talk about Varaha Avataram, which is Tridasadhyakshaha. So the one Brahmadehe Pralayapa Sakatvat Tridasadhyakshaha, the one who relieved Brahma from the pain caused by Hiranyaksha is called Tridashadhyakshaha. Very nice name. People keep asking, tell us names which we can give to children. Not this name, no. Tridashadhyakshaha. But that you have to keep telling people who tell that name. It's not the, it's the. Tridashadhyakshaha. Okay, next. Mahash Shringaha. How did he lift that particular piece of earth? Agralagna Mahi Mandala Damshtraha Mahashringaha. Through those sharp tusks, he lifted. Today, even in Sri Rangam, one of the celebrated temple towns in Bharatadesham, if an Utsavam has to begin, the mud, the earth, that part of that mud earth, which has been plowed by the tusks of a Varaha, is used to begin that particular Utsavam. In Vamanavatar Charitram in Srimad Bhagavatam, when Aditi Devi goes and asks Kashyapa Maharshi, I need a child who's the repository of all auspicious attributes, the husband says, perform Vratam, Payo Vratam. Prior to performing that, Sini Valyam, he uses the word Sini Valyam. So he says, use the earth dug by the tusks of a wild boar and smear it all over your body and then begin. So Mahashringaha, the one who has got sharp tusks, Mahashringaha, that is the 540th Nama. Next, 541st Nama, Kritanta Krit. Kritantam Antakabham Hiranyaksham Kritavan Iti. The one who stood like the Lord of Death to Hiranyaksha, who troubled Mother Earth and Mother Nature, is Kritanta Krit. Next is Mahavaraha. Who is Mahavaraha? Big Varaha. This is a verse from Vishnu Purana. Mahavaraha Sputa Padmalochanaha. Brahma, when from his nostril a swine jumped, a wild boar jumped. He wanted to check who this boar is. Who are you? He asked the boar. What will the boar reply? The boar looked at him like this. Then he checked that boar had the eyes akin to the petals of a newly blossomed lotus. Mahavaraha Sputa Padmalochanaha. Why is the lotus always associated with the Lord's eyes? So many flowers are there, daffodils, and dancing with the daffodils. Says Wordsworth. His words are worth. You can use daffodils also, right? You can use the scarlets. You can use anything. Why only Padma? Because most other flowers will grow in a neat place. Lotus is the only one that grows in the marshes. Pankajam. So even if the Lord chooses to be born as an incarnation, as an avatara amidst us, the dosham of this ihalokam will not touch him. Like how the lotus blooms to such glory and beauty amidst the marshes. Like how we don't have to wash our tongue. You don't know this washing your tongue thing? I've told this, people of this will know. Have you tasted Tirunelveli halwa? See, you can make and eat Tirunelveli halwa, not give it to the other person. Halwa. How do you make Tirunelveli halwa? Venkatesh Bhatt says. Soak that goduma chame, says chamakam, wheat, overnight, and then grind it to get the essence out the milk, and then caramelize sugar. Everything healthy you have to use for this. You have to caramelize sugar. Add that caramelized sugar to this, you get that color. And then intermittently, you have to keep on adding ghee. You have to keep on, it should shine. Unnila dantavanti spuratarunatara chaya bimbadarantaha priti prasyandi mandasmitirataram, says Bhattadri Narayani. So Krishna, when he used to sport Makara Kundalam, and then his cheeks were like shining emerald mirrors. So the reflection of the Makara Kundalam used to fall on his cheeks. Your halwa should look like that. Then only you can reach Krishna. So this Tirunelveli halwa, it has sugar and it has ghee in it. It will be greasy and sticky. I give this to a child who generally can't hold any cup properly. So he will ensure that the Tirunelveli halwa is consumed by every part of his body. Spill it all over. And then the mother will have this Herculean task of cleaning up the child. So she'll bring some hand wash, she will clean everywhere. What has consumed the Tirunelveli halwa? The tongue. She will clean every part of the body but the tongue. See, the halwa sticks on every part of your body. except the tongue. So the tongue doesn't have this ability to hold to the greasiness or the stickiness of the apruva. Like a jivatma will never get dosham of the physical body. See, whatever touches your body, the jivatma, it will not touch. Like how the tongue is an exception when you eat. Similarly, is the pankajam when it blooms amidst the marshes, the marshiness of the marshes will not taint the lotus. That is why, to remind us of Paramatma's ability to remain apahata papma, his eyes have always been compared to that of lotus. Always. When Shurpanakha, she was humiliated. Her nose, tips were chopped off, ears were cut. She goes and complains to her half brothers, Khara, Dushyanth, Vishnu. My dear brothers, look at me. She says, brothers ask, who has done this to you, Shurpanakha? She tells, those two men of lotus eyes. Chopped nose. She is in a state where she can easily, comfortably abuse them. Whatever is there in her dictionary, she can borrow from others and also do it. Or if she wants, she can check with the auto drivers of Chennai. She could have borrowed and she could have said. She tells, Tharuno Rupa Sampanno Sukumaro Mahabalo Pundarika Vishalaksho. Those two men with long arms and lotus-like eyes. Chop my nose. Duryodhana was upset when Krishna said, I shall not stay in your house. Duryodhana, I will not stay in the house of Bhishma, neither of Dronas. When he came as a messenger of the Pandavas, he said, I'll stay in the house of only Vidura. This is Vidura. 655, it was Vidura. The widower, Vidura means twice. So he says, I'll stay in the house of Vidura. Duryodhana gets angry. He says, you have abandoned the opportunity to stay in the house of Bhishma, Drona, and my house too. And you are staying in the house of that, after all, Dasiputra Vidura. Bhishma Drona Vratikramya Mamschaiva Madhusudana. How dare you leave my house? Oh, lotus-eyed one. Kimartham Pundarikaksha Buddham Vishababhojan. This lotus eye will never leave us. So this lotus eye is important. Even as a swine, as a boar. Mahavaraha Sputa Padmalochanaha. This was borrowed to the other devatas. That is why, even for Parvati, we say, Kanjalandayanashi Kamakshi Kamala Manohari Tripura Sundari Kanjalandayanashi. Beautiful eyes like the lotus. That is why he is called Mahavaraha. 542nd Nama. 543rd Govindaha. This Govinda Nama comes 4 or 5 times in Sahasranamam. Every time the meaning of Govinda is different. See, otherwise they could have done like proxy. You know, in college, we used to have that attendance register. So if my name is being marked, then whatever the previous person has put, we'll put the ditto mark. Ditto, 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 ditto. We won't realize you would have put absent. I'm absent. So here, Govindaha. Acharyas could have said, see, I've commented in the 212th Nama, Govindas refer to that. In chemistry, we used to have referred to the, as discussed in the previous chapters. They wouldn't have discussed it now. As discussed in the previous chapters. In that chapter, they'll say, in the forthcoming chapters, we'll discuss. Mahavaraha Govindaha. What does Govindaha mean? Nashtam cha dharani purvavavindam cha guham gatam Govinda iti tenaham. The one who protected Mother Earth, that piece of land, from falling into the wrong hands. Hiranyaksha is called Govinda. You know, one speaker, when I was a little child, I used to listen to him. He made one interesting observation. You go to Tirumala, Tirupati. You go to Hindu Temple of Atlanta. Also, you go to Tirumala, Tirupati. So we cross those 7 hills and then reach the valley formed by those 7 hills, and we are. This is the only Lord on this entire earth. Tirumala Tirupati Venkateshwara Swami, he alone will always keep us on pins and needles. Till the last minute, you won't know whether you get a darshan or not. Till that last minute, even till Mahatmiyam, you go, they'll say, President has come, you go back. You can't be sure. So you cross all the 7 hills. Shri Madhmakila Mahimahi Mandala Dharani Dhara Mandala Kandalasya Nikhila Sura Suramandita Varaha Kshetra Vibhushanasya Shesha Chala Garuda Chala Simha Jala Shabha Jala Narayana Jala Anjana Drishikari Mala Kulasya. You cross. You go to the Lord. The Sthala Puranam tells you will have to have a darshan of Varaha Murti first. Varaha was the original owner of that land. Slowly, this Venkateshwara Swami encroached that land, like Guruvayurappan, who took land from Shiva, Mummy, poor Shiva. He said, okay, it is my friend Krishna, I will give him one piece of land. Slowly, Krishna started increasing that land space, changed that name to Guruvayur. So that is his habit, to encroach. Now, I used to live in Bombay. One interesting system in Bombay used to be Pagadi system. Have you heard of Pagadi? You keep paying 10 rupees per month. Over a period of time, that house is yours. So here, you go to the temple atop the hill. You have darshan of Varaha Murti. He's by the steps of that Swami Pushkarini. Swami Pushkarini in Tamil is called Koneri. Koneri Valum Kurugai Pirappene. That's Kulashekara. Swami Pushkarini. Swami Pushkarini Tate Ramaya Ramamanaya Venkateshaya Mangalam. Swami Pushkarini. By Swami Pushkarini, so see a small temple with a small sanctum sanctorum for Bhuvaraha Murti. He is the owner of that land. After that, you have darshan of Srinivasa Swami, who is revered, generally revered and called by the devotees as Govinda. Mahavaraha, Govindaha. Look at the namas in Sahasranamam. It comes one after the other. Mahavaraha, Govinda. Now, after Varaha, let's go to Hiranyaksha's elder brother. What is the elder brother's name? Hiranyakashipu. Narasimha Puranam gives a very beautiful account as to why he was called Hiranyakashipu first of all. Diti Devi and Kashyapa had children, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. But before naming them itself, there was an incident as Narasimha Purana. Kashyapa was performing a yaga. And in that yaga Vedika, there will be 5 seats kept for the people who are doing that yagam to sit, Udgata, Hotra, and so on. The 5th seat in a yagam used to be traditionally gilded in gold, covered in gold. The 5th seat, which was covered in gold, meant for the one who performs the yagam, was called Hiranyakashipu. That seat was called Hiranyakashipu. This boy, the son of Diti and Hiranyakashipu, of Kashyapa, crawled and went and sat on that seat. So from that day onwards, the Maharishis used to say, hey, he has sat on Hiranyakashipu, so he will be called Hiranyakashipu. Sir, can you give the seat's name to somebody? He sat in Tesla. What is his name? Tesla. Elon Musk. He could have also had that name. So the car's name cannot go. How is it possible? See, if you remember, vegetables used to be pulled on a cart and people used to sell those vegetables. I remember the early days of Bangalore, when Bangalore had trees. Once upon a time, we had trees. So morning at about 7:38, all good day, we come. My grandmother had to buy. She wouldn't know the name of that person. Whoever is selling, right? What would she call? Aloo gadde. So what you are selling, you own that thing. He sat on Hiranyakashipu, he became Hiranyakashipu. Now, see, why I'm giving all these examples is so that you can understand the Puranam better. But you know what will happen? People remember the examples. Sir, examples are more interesting than the namas. So from the 200th nama till 210th nama, 200 to 210, how many namas? Maths will stand up on the 200 to 210 is never. How many of you are going to magnet schools? Now this 200th nama, Amrutyuhu. Atha, I'm reading out the commentary. Atha Nrisimhavatara. Mrityu Virodhi, Mrityu Mrityutva. See, we get this in the mantra. Everybody knows that mantra. Mantra was a secret in those days. Now everybody knows mantra. Ugram Veeram Mahavishnu Jwalantam Sarvatomukham Nrisimham Bhishanam Bhadram Mrityor Mrityor Namamyaham. The one who brings death to death. Mrityor Mrityu. Why he gives moksham? When you get moksham, you won't have death. So he brings death to death. So he is called Amrityuhu. Next, 201st nama, Sarvadrik. Sayeva Sarvan Anukula Pratikula Tatasthan Yatharham Niyantu Pashyati Iti Sarvadrik is the commentary. The one who sees the friend, the foe, and the arbitrator in the equal terms is called Sarvadrik. He sees them all equally. In Bhagavatam Saptama Skandam, Parikshit asks this question to Shukha Brahman. Samapriya Suhrit Brahman Lokanama Bhayankaraha Indrasya The Katam Daityan. Yes, hey Shukha Brahman. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu. All are equal to me. Correct? All are equal to me. There is no bipartisan there. All are equal to me. Whether you are from Scotland, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Syria, wherever, Ukraine, Russia, you are equal to me. So Parikshit asks, if the Lord declares that he is equal to all, he treats them equally, why in Nrisimhavataram he tore open Hiranyakashipu and blessed Prahlada? This is not equal treatment, right? You tear open one and then you bless the other. Is this right? He asks. Then he gives a detailed account. Then he says, see, we have to see from the Vedanta perspective. Don't extrapolate this to any mundane examples. Let's say a mother has 2 children. The first one is good. The second one has diabetes right since his birth. So the doctor has advised. It is a very tough thing because children will love chocolates, will love our bhakshanam. That I'm doubtful. Chocolates they will like. So they will like chocolates. Now the mother has to take a lot. She should have a lot of strength in her to prevent the child from eating the chocolates. The first child is notified about the brother's problem. But the first child doesn't pay heed to it, maybe because of his innocence or childhood. The first child gives loads of chocolate to the second child. Now the mother tells it the first time, do not do this. Your brother has diabetes, don't do it. But the first one doesn't pay heed to the mother's advice. He keeps loading the brother with a lot of chocolates. There'll be a lot of health repercussions to the second child. Now one day the mother will give one shot. Will give one beat. I don't know whether in the US you're allowed to beat or not. Come, listen. Now I am a third person. I don't know about this problem of diabetes, no diabetes and all of that. Are you a mother? Huh? Do you have that mercy in you? You look like that Shylock who asked for the pound of flesh closest to the heart without a drop of blood. Go on giving rigmaroles of explanation. The mother will say, wait. The second child has diabetes. The first one is, so I did not do it. Same is the way we deal with Puranas. To the Lord, Hiranyakashipu is his son as much as Prahlada is. But Hiranyakashipu was tormenting Prahlada. So the Lord had to show Hiranyakashipu his place, who was also his son. So he tore him open. The treatment was different. But as a parent, he did. Now that's why I said we should not extrapolate it. Then anybody who throws the bomb will say, see, even I wanted to punish them. So I did. That's why I said do not extrapolate. See, we should not relate everything in the Puranas to us. Vedanta Deshika uses this very cleverly in Yadava Hridayam. Learn what is required for your sustenance and good living from Krishna and Draupadi. From Krishna and Krishna. One from Krishna and the other from Krishna's Draupadi. Do not learn the other things. He had many wives, I will marry. She had many husbands, I will marry. Vedanta Deshika says, do not use other lessons of their lives to you. Because we are all very smart people. We will selectively use what is relevant to us. See, even way back in Bharata Desham, people have lot of problems with Rama and his life. Why did Rama do Agni Pariksha? Why did he send pregnant Sita to the forest? Why did he kill Shambhuka? Why did he take one step while fighting Khara and Dushana? Why did he stand behind the tree and shoot an arrow at one? So many questions. Not one question they will ask Krishna. Because it suits them. Krishna had many ways, then I can have politicians. That is why they will live in all areas supporting Krishna. Gopala. That has Krishna. So Krishna, the one who doesn't see the difference amongst his friend, foe and arbitrator is called Sarvadrik. Next, Simha Sandhata. Very beautiful. This one Sandhata. See, generally we cannot combine 2-3 emotions together. I don't know how many of you say this. You're all looking very sattvic in nature. Atlanta people are very sattvic. Generally, I've heard people say, when they're in good mood and the child comes and torments the mother, don't come near me now. Don't aggravate me. I'm in a good mood. Or the other way around. I'm very angry now. Don't come and ask me a bird. Second, case 2 scenario. If you're calm and poised, you don't want to take any aggravation. When you're frustrated, you know there is no space for peace. 2 opposing emotions can't exist in one person at the same point in time. Right? At the beginning of the lecture, all of you are sattvic. So, the eyebrows, Abhinayam, Kalanidhi Mami will also be surprised. So, first when I say about Vedachari Samahara, they will write. After 1 hour, slowly the anger will come. Shimuniki Rajasa Gunamichi Kamala Bhavuniki Kamasa Gunamusagi Shachi Dhabuniki Garbamu Neragaje Sina Bakugashika Raja Vinuta Ninu Yemani Pogadura. Slowly the Rajasa Gunam will come. They'll keep looking at me, thinking if I look at their faces, I will reduce my duration. I'm incorrigible, irreversible, irreparable. Only when I do it, till I finish 2 hours, then only whether you get from your seats up and run to coach me. I will finish. Then lastly, some people will realize he will not change. Then they'll Upanyasam. So the two opposing emotions can't exist in one person at the same point in time. It is very tough. Unless you're an onion. But what does Nrisimha do? Sandhata, Ripud Dvishama Neshpesha Bhishanopi Praneyanam Prahlada Prabhutinam Samsleshayita. Look at the commentary. What Parashara Bhatta tells is, Vedanta Deshika, of course, in his own inimitable fashion describes it. Stambhe Ghattayato Hiranya Kashipo Karnau Samachurnayan Nabhu Najagadanda Kunda Kuharo Gorastava Budravaha Shrutva Yamkila Daitya Raja Hridaye Purvakadapya Shrutam Kampakaschana Sampapata Daidosma Amboja Bhuvishtarat, says Bhattadri. The Lord tore open Hiranyakashipu. As he tore open with that anger showcasing in his eyes, through his eyes at that point in time, Prahlada could sense him lactating like a mother. So to Prahlada alone, when he saw Nrisimha tearing Hiranyakashipu, he found that motherly love. So at one point in time, Lord was able to show his anger, and through the same eyes, as he was staring, that fingers showed that showcased that anger, but his eyes showed love. Sata patala bhishane sarabhasa atahasodbhate spurakridhi parisputa brukutike vibhaktre krite. Anger. Kripa kapatake sarin danujadimba dattastana saroja sadrisha drisha. Saroja, eyes like the lotus. Vyati bhishajyate yajyate, the one who showcases anger and vatsalyam, krodham and vatsalyam, both krodharasam and karunarasam at the same point in time is called sandhata. So the 203rd nama is sandhata. Sandhiman sthiraha ajaha durmarshanaha. Ajaha, another interesting name. 206th nama. Ja in Sanskritam. Generally, letters also have significance. Ja in Sanskritam denotes birth. Anything to do with birth will begin with Ja or end with Ja. Ja, Janani. The one who births us is Janani. The birth is called Janma. The cycle of birth and death is called Jani. Jani, Janma, Janani. If the word, resulting word is a feminine word, then you use jaw. Ja is pullingam. Jaw is strilingam. You know, hair has a name in Sanskritam. Very good. Murdhaja. Because she comes from the head. The hair is born from the head. Murdhaja. Hair gives birth to, the scalp gives birth to hair. So Murdhaja, the one which has come from the scalp. You know, we have swarams in Sangeetam. Shadjam, Rishabham, Gandharam, Madhyamam, Dhaivatam, Rishabham, Panchamam. So after the first swaram, we have 6 more swarams. 6 notes after the first note. So the 6 notes is believed to have come from the first note. So the first note is the mother and the father for the next 6 notes. 6 is Shat. Jam is birth. Shat Jam. So we have Ja, Ja, Avanija, Bhumija. So Ja. Ja is birth. Aja. You're prefixing it with a. The prefix a will negate the second. So Ja is birth, born. Aja means unborn. Ajaha. So Ajaha means the one who is not born. The unborn is called Ajaha. Okay. Now what does Ajaha mean? I will tell you what Parashara Bhatta tells. Stambha sambhavatvena itaravatu najayata iti Ajaha. Wow, what a commentary. He says, Nisimha gets out of the pillar. Correct? Pillar breaks, Nisimha gets out. Now we say Nisimha is born. But what is the name of Nisimha? Aja, the unborn. So just now you said you are born. Then you are saying he was unborn. So Parashara Bhatta tells Ajaha here doesn't mean unborn. It means the one who is not born like us. See, however we are, we have to come out of a mother's womb. Right? No, sir, in a fruit basket we placed him. Suddenly we saw a child in that fruit basket. We can't be like that. We have to come from a mother's womb, whether we like her or not, whether she likes us or not. We have to come out of her womb. The water broke and then the child came. So the umbilical cord has to be cut. That is a normal, mundane process. Whereas Nisimha was not born like that. So he is Ajaha. The one who is not born like us. What? Why not like us? See, in basic zoology, I'm sure there will be experts here. As mammals, when we come out of the mother, we come directly after the gestation period. So we are all viviparous. Birds have a two-stage process. They come from the mother as an egg. The egg gets incubated and that hatches to a chick. So it's a two-stage process. So they are oviparous. Whereas scorpions are ovoviviparous. Scorpions, little ones are formed in an egg and that egg stays within the mother's body, and at the appropriate time the egg breaks and then the little one tears open the mother's body and comes out. So it is ovoviviparous. So if you check, since it's Ramanuja Jayanti, I am reminded of Bhagavad Ramanuja's Sri Bhashyam. In Sri Bhashyam there is a place to check whether the Lord conforms to logic. We believe that sentient matter comes from sentient, the insentient comes from insentient. Achetana vastu gives rise to achetanam, chetana vastu gives rise to chetanam. This is our belief. What is chetana vastu? That which is substratum to chaitanyam is called chetana vastu. That which cannot be a substratum to chaitanyam knowledge is achetanam. This is all basics of philosophy. So that chaitanyam is called dharma bhuta jnanam. So when that substratum is, when an object is not substratum to attributive knowledge, it is called as achetanam. When it is substratum to attributive knowledge, it is called chetanam. See, at times Sanskritam is easier than English. Attributive knowledge, qualified non-dualism, all these will come in English. Now, when Nisimha got out of the pillar, what gave rise to Nisimha? Pillar. What is pillar? Insentient in nature, achetanam. Achetanam is giving birth to a chetanam. Correct. Nisimha has come out. Now, with what did Nisimha kill Hiranyakashipu? He used his nails to kill Hiranyakashipu. What are nails? Technically, besides the cuticle, which is the living portion, everything else is a conglomerate of dead cells. So it is achetanam. But the beauty is, it shows a chaitanyam in it, because when you chop the nails, it still grows. Correct. So the achetana pillar gave rise to Nisimha, who's Chetana, Paramachetana, who used the achetana nails to tear open Hiranyakashipu. So all this will not happen in us. See, where did you come from, sir? There's a beautiful pond near our house. From that pond I came. We all don't. We all come in a certain way. Nisimha came in a separate way. In Tamil, it is called Yambali Tani. So his way is a different way. See, at times, literal translations in English won't make much logic or sense. Subeh subeh mein utha. Morning mein utha. So, Nisimha was exceptional. Was an exception. He was exceptional and was an exception to the general rule that one should be housed within the mother's uterus. Since he did not conform to the general birthing principles as us, he is called Ajaha. So that is the nama of Ajaha. But Ajaha says, Nisimha says, you have spoken about the 6 greatness of Vishnu Sahasranamam. Some namas of Varahavataram and Nisimhavataram. But you have to talk more, Dushyanth. But tomorrow, because it is 2 hours, 1 minute. So we will go through Vishnu Sahasranamam, more such namas. I may have covered 12 or 13 till now. more. See, in this rate, if I go, when will I cover thousands? So it is not possible. But I'll still cover a few namas from various portions. Interesting namas I will cover. Vijitatma, Videyatma, beautiful namas they are. So tomorrow, the day after, and of course, we have 3 more days. I will be covering those Shat Prashni, Kimekam Devatam Loke, Kimbapekam Parayanam as well. So Shat Prashni, Shat Uttaram. And then some namas. 3 more days left, as Rajaji Mama at the commencement did state. These set of lectures organized for 5 days by Sri Ahobila, a prominent organization spreading the values of Sanatana Dharma, has a lot of initiatives happening like Veda Pathashala, Annadanam and so on. So please make sure that you connect with Sri Ahobila volunteers here and please make contributions to Sri Ahobila for organizing this 5-day festival. I'm sure all of you will do. As requested, all of you have come in large numbers on a weekday. You've all made it strong. You've made it a strong day. So 3 more weekdays, you have to make them strong. But while you're coming along, bring 2 more people. There's a lot of place here. We can manage somehow. So somehow they would be shopping somewhere. So what you do is you just tell the Telugu people, Randi. Swargam. But drive slowly. So bring them here. And Tamil people, Kavita Kika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashalihi Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Yagena Margena Mahishaha O Brahmanebhya Shubham Astu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kayena Vacha Manasendriyaiva Buddhyatmana Va Prakriti Swabhavat Karomi Yat Sahalam Parasmai Shriman Narayanaye Samarpayami Kalyana Rupaya Kalau Janana Karuna Sudhapte Kambali Divya Yudha Sakkaraya Madanaya Ishanamo Namaste Narayana 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 Two more requests that I have. I'm sure I'll make it very fast. Till the Friday, I'm speaking here. Saturday, which is April 29th till the 5th of May, I will be giving a Bhagavata Saptaham in English at Shweta Venkateshwara Swami Temple in Seattle. So if you have your children, it will all be in English. So please do request them to join us for the Saptaham, April 29th to May 5th in Seattle. May 6th and 7th at the Meenakshi Temple, Houston. 2 days I'm speaking on the 18 Rahasyas in the Ramayana, 18 secrets in the Ramayana. May 8th till the May 14th, 7 days, Sriman Narayaniya Saptaham at the Balaji Temple of Great Lakes, Michigan, Detroit. Then May 15th till May 21st, Saptaham, Bhagavata Saptaham in English at the Greater Hindu Temple of Greater Chicago, Lemont. Then May 22nd till May 28th, 7 days, Bhagavata Saptaham in English for Sri Vedanta Sabha, Frisco, Dallas. So if you have relatives, please do ask them to join us. I'm speaking on the Ramayana for 15 minutes every day to commemorate the upcoming temple of Rama Janmabhoomi in English. So 292 episodes in English on the Ramayana. So if you have children who can't sit 2 hours, I know it's tough. This is examination time as well. So please do play these 15 minutes videos for them. I'm sure it will help them. This is the request that I had. Thank you so much. Namaskar.